4 rolls out. And let's see if KSV can start the ascent that seemed destined at the start of the year.
Yep, Varus going to be the first ban. We've seen him hitting the ban list almost every single time. No one wanting to see him, especially not today. Banned first round every single time in our first series.
And Ruler 7-2, and it is a pocket pick for him. So very, very easy ban against the side of KSV. We often see the Gnar banned as well, but for now, one of Crown's favorites got a big buff on this patch with the change to Archangels. So first round ban of the Rise, even on Blue's side for bbq.
Yep.
Seems like a first pick 80 carry is going to be pinched, as we already have the Caitlyn banned away.
I wonder whether Crown is going to look towards one of his former picks in the mid lane. That Cassiopeia could be an option for him. I know Temp's been playing a little bit of it in solo queue as well, because it's about time we see some new champions picked up in the mid lane.
And it seems like Galio first pick is what bbq is looking for.
Definitely wouldn't be what KSV are looking for based on what Crown has showed us. And he needs to go back to his mastery, I feel, because he has been such a mastery player, as Rakan is going to be taken off the board.
And now you get to the tense part where you would expect basically every team to first pick the Galio here. But do you need to against KSV when KSV has shown such a complete inability to play the champion? The answer for bbq is yes, so we'll see. Given that KSV would have expected that as a first pick, what they're going to prize on the red side. Zyra Khan, no longer a possibility.
Yeah, Tristana, of course, one of Ruler's champions, one of the few players that does like to prioritize Tristana even before she launched into prevalence.
And you just take Camille in the first round as well to deny the Galio Camille. And because Camille is untouched on patch 8.4, that's the question I will raise for KSV. No Haru in the lineup, and while he had a, let's say, abysmal game on the Camille, it would have been a true flex pick between QV and Haru. Hard to imagine Ambition on the Camille, but it is an important denial. And instead they'll just go for Ambition Power and go for the Sejuani.
Yeah, just the comfort pick there, but I was going to say they've got either Camille or the Jarvan, both of them pairing very, very well. Cataclysm, Hextech Ultimatum, both of them are very good, and this is the original one in the Kha'Zix.
The Longtrue special.
Yeah, Trick just showing us that there are heaps of different options. Kalista would be weird.
But definitely weird and wonderful with the knock-up synergy, and seems like Ghost is actually going to settle on the Kalista. Second game we're seeing of Kalista, always a tricky matchup against the Tristana in history.
Picking a counter matchup with a nerfed champion as well. Of course, her base stats were increased just a little bit, things like that, but not enough to make up for
we'll talk
the
about
mana
it again.
And range nerfs.
Yeah, I spoke about it a bit in game. It's tweaked is probably the best way to put it. Tweaked towards a nerf. It's not a outright nerf, but largely a downwards adjustment. And that's a very early Ornn on the side of bbq, which was always going to prompt old Core JJ favorite in the Braum. So I'm a little bit perturbed by the Ornn pick, but maybe that'll make more sense as the draft goes on. No Sion in the first round, so just maybe Ornn support is what they're looking for.
Yeah, unless they're going to ban the Sion away, I would have considered KSV looking at the Camille and the Jarvan as their two bans, but no, it's going to be Ignar focused. Always does get a lot of priority, and with Thresh so incredibly good given the darkness on Summoner's Rift at the moment, I do understand giving him that respect.
Yeah, a bit of a Nocturne ultimate at all times with the lesser vision that is available. Mid lane bans towards Crown. Old Comfort in the Taliyah. He hasn't found success on that this season. I wonder if he would take the Cassiopeia into Galio again after getting dunked by Faker in the SKT KSV series. It can be a good pick, but it's a lot of struggle against knockups, and bbq's going to have as many of them as they can fit.
Yeah, and the mid lane's actually getting a little bit difficult to pick against, as the Corki, one of the standard pickups into the Galio, has been taken away from Crown as well. And now does he go back to something like a Syndra, really sort of go back into Crown comfort? Like, I could see you shaking your head there, Papa. There aren't a lot of fantastic places to go here as Crown.
You want a farm lane. A Syndra I don't think will work with any reliability. The Camille is taken away, but the second round here was available for bbq to take in their round.
A lot of denial here for Trick as well, but the Jarvan still going to be available, so can grab that one if they want to continue the knockups, as this would be
fun.
A Trick pick, if ever I've seen one, and has had some improvements.
Will also be able to interrupt the dashes on both the Tristana and the Sejuani, but feels like people aren't ready to actually break it out in the LCK just yet. Was a big pick in NA. The Kha'Zix Galio synergy is there. So it's Trick saying, I will not be a passive farming jungler. I will be proactive on the Kha'Zix with this pick, saying he wants to be the battle ward and to overcome the lesser vision in the game by pushing up his own champion and being able to spot out ambition.
I was going to say, Leona looks like a pretty good pick here as well. Keep that aggression going on early into the game and just gives that flood of CC that we've seen so successful in 8.4 with the fact that you want to be skirmishing as much as possible. And with Kha'Zix, you may as well have the bevy of CC that Leona brings.
I wonder what the last pick will be. Cassio is the one that sticks out, even if I'm not a fan of it in the Galio matchup. Oh, we can go old school. He's going to lock it.
Wow, there we go.
It's going to be the Vel'Koz, an old favorite.
And the Disintegration Ray works quite well against more tanky champions in the mid lane as well, with health percentage damage on top of it.
And this is really hype to see. Crown often had a pocket Vel'Koz that he did not break out at Worlds last year. Getting ready for certain picks in the meta was famously a good pick into the Azir. Like you say, in League of Tanks, it also offers you a lot of extra damage going for something like a Liandry's in the past. The build here will be very interesting to track. I'm so happy we can be psyched about a Crown pick after everything has felt like did not fit his playstyle. Now there is a lot of engage to be respected. The Vel'Koz will have to be sauntering almost out of vision, some Jhin-esque positioning from the Vel'Koz. But all right, Crown, you want to come back in. They're trying to make something happen on patch 8.4, and they've gotten the crowd hyped a little bit to see a new pick.
Yeah, and also I'm excited to see what he's going to build on the champion as well. A lot of schools of thought now on 8.4 as to what you're going to pick up with the Vel'Koz. Is it going to be the Spellbinder? We're going to see that for the first time with the added movement speed, or is he going to go for the new and improved Luden's Echo into that mid lane? A lot of different options now for Crown, but certainly his flavor of champion, he is a mastery player. One of our players that really does like to get a lot of games on a champion, but there was a moment in the past where he was spamming it in the solo queue, wanting to get it ready, and we didn't really see it that much. So still holding onto it. Still, I really like what bbq have to offer here at the same time. Man, KSV versus bbq, it's now all exciting as we see what's going to happen in the mid lane and the rest of the Rift as we head into Game 1. KSV fans, pretty keen to see a victory here for the World Champions.
Understandably, they have had a very lean passage of play, guys. If you missed the opening here, KSV started the season as our champions-elect. Our best performing team at the start went 5-1 and have fallen to 6-6. They still find themselves in the top 5, as we did see some more Family Day shenanigans going on, as Temp's father is here to see him take on World Championship mid laner.
Is it Bring Your Folks to Work Day today here at the LCK?
That's a fun one, regardless. We're seeing first visit of patch 8.4 to KSV, and you alluded to this. When you think about the opening patch cycles of the season, very slow, lots of delay, all about the late game team fighting, you would put your hand, point to one team and one team only in the LCK to say definitely categorically a buff. It would have been KSV. It would have been Samsung Galaxy, the true shield of the league, but the 1-5 run was on patches that suited them. And now they find themselves on a patch that on paper, compared to old Samsung identity, is a nerf. It is all about the early to mid game. So seeing how they can pilot those early to mid game comps, ostensibly out of meta for them, the only good news for their fans would be that they were prepping early and frequently for 8.4, because their 8.3 performances were definitely a lot to be desired.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the mid lane here, because it's the first time we've seen Vel'Koz so far this season? Has gone for Comet with some inspiration in the secondary, opting in for the cleanse there as well. Doesn't want to get locked down by a taunt and then destroyed by Tempt and Trick, as that gank duo can be pretty devastating.
And The reason why we did not talk about Vel'Koz when talking about picks is because Crown has kept this off his solo queue. He hasn't played it on his main account at all. Has been playing a lot of other champions, and while he played it, like you mentioned, in past metas, we asked the question of which Lost Chapter item will he be opting into. There'd be an argument for both the Ludens and the Archangels, as you can go through mana spanning out W to try to be able to keep up competitive in lane.
Yep.
Going for a very early recall in mid.
There's a lot of different schools of thought you can go for as teleport towards the top lane extremely early from bbq as Justice Punch is interrupted. Winds of War come down though and KSV has to flash. They're trying to tank up this turret as best as possible, but Crazy all too easy, and First Blood comes down about as quick as you can.
That was super clean by bbq. They had so many big tanks to be able to tank it up. Very nice roam, nothing KSV can do. You're not going to be frustrated about that one apart from just being ahead of the play. The enemy team will not even have a punishment in the mid lane, really. It's going to be about a minion wave lost for a big game topside. Ambition sees the topside attention. Goes for a steal of the Krugs, but that's really all there is to talk about. A nice early move by bbq.
Yeah, Crazy's going to go back, grabs himself his Corrupting Potion on top of the Doran Shield that he already had. So set up in lane here against KSV. And I was going to talk about the fact that KSV had set some lanes for themselves that did look like they were going to be able to win out. Ruler and Core JJ in a great spot against the Kalista that has historically been a decent matchup, despite the fact that Kalista has recently been bonked around on the head with the Nerf bat just a little.
It's definitely one that, with the adjustment of power largely downwards, you kind of expect her to be only with very lane-dominant supports like Thresh, for example. Leona only goes one way, isn't flexible compared to a Thresh, and that means that if you're pushed in, the rend nerfs, the mana cost nerfs, make it much more difficult for her to be able to last hit a plenty and keep up the mana bar for any sort of a turn. But there's much higher base attack speed, and she has an attack speed build where she scales on attack speed with her passive to get the jump frequency, and also any attack speed item you buy at the shop interacts with base attack speed. So the more base attack speed you have, the better a purchase like Hurricane and Blade of the Ruin King represents. So while she'll be in threat range more with a 25 range nerf, she will be getting more out of her early 2-item spike, and if she's free hitting, that means her 2-item spike is stronger straight up.
Well, 2-item spikes are exactly what you want here on 8.4. So I like the fact that that's working out. Ruler will have to probably wait until a couple of Zeal items before things work, but KSV, oh man, you talk about Dyrus treatment all the time. Crazy's looking to try and get some of the CC down here as well. They don't quite get the Searing Charge as Trick jumps on top, and Crazy once again, beautiful juggling of the turret aggro.
And KSV had already used his hookshot to disengage at the start of that, so wasn't really able to do anything. Don't max it first in lane, so that meant that there was a good window to act around. This is really good play by bbq to just pile on pressure to KSV in the top side, leading to a very big CS lead. And lose a complete minion wave on the top side. 20 CS advantage. Galio comes back mid lane after the roam, and predictably is Galio. So we'll pick up plenty of farm. And this is 2 kills before even the hero's entrance is available. So Kha'Zix hasn't been counter jungling. He's been straight up ganking the top side. Soon we will see the hero's entrance available. And then Kha'Zix has so many different options on how he wants to play out the Rift.
Yeah, and I was actually going to ask the question of, is Trick going to go for Chilling Smite or Challenging Smite? And it is going to be the red part as Faker actually playing the Vel'Koz last.
2016 Spring Final. I remember that game against Kuro. I believe it was Game 3.
Yeah,
Could have been Game
3.
2.
Yeah.
But that was a victory. We've seen plenty of support Vel'Koz since, I say plenty, but among about 3 to 4 picks. A max special, to be true.
Yep.
But mid Vel'Koz, a thing of the past. Looking at the runes here, Gathering Storm, it's KSV, so while Gathering Storm is a little bit more optimistic in this shorter game meta, it is still going to be something they opt into. And they are largely looking for the outscale. We have to talk about how the comps come together. The Camille will reach a point where she can ignore the Orin damage. It's been toned down on patch 8.4 and split push away. KSV have a very strong core of 4 because Braum and Sejuani stand in the front, and Tristana and the Vel'Koz can poke and also siege very, very strong. Very fast wave clear with just 2 Ws onto a minion wave by the Vel'Koz, and Tristana walks up. So It's a true 4-1 comp for them. Especially the attack taken by QV after the adjustment on that rune. However, bbq have the early mid-game dream. Their pylon comp with the Galio. They also have hard engage from the Leona, who can be sent in and then use her other initiation. And honestly, her job might just be to bait out the Unbreakable Shield, and then Braum can register, so Orin can register as well. So a lot going on in terms of initiation. The early game has already been very kind to them with how much they've been able to hold down QV, delaying the threat of the 4-1. So if bbq continues to actually press the attention onto KSV, they're going to have to be very stalwart and delaying what is a very strong period of power for bbq.
Yeah. And it feels like bbq have the 8.4 composition. Of course, with the fact that Crown's picked up Vel'Koz, of course, that is because Vel'Koz feels a lot better to play on this patch, but Trick once again towards the top side, continuing this snowball, and QV once again going to die. Trick still at full health. Crazy even able to knock back the the Ram.
Trick looked like he was
just
feeling he was feeling empathy for the enemy top laner. Like, this wouldn't feel good if you were QV.
Yeah. Oh dear.
This is exciting because Trick has been the difference between a good and a bad performance for bbq in his recent tenure on the team. In the games where he's played Skarner and had nothing done, his team has lost every game like that. But when he's actually been active and making plays, when they were chain ganking bot lane, you'll remember Atlas, and taking down people's mid lane.
Wow! What the hell?
Vel'Koz has no health, just to be clear.
Also, if you've got a Warrior Enchant at this stage of the game and a massive amount of levels, that's a level 7 Trick.
When bbq took down Kingzone, it was Trick being active in the early game, ganking bot and sending Prey and Gorilla behind, and in general, being the difference. Trick has eaten his wheat bix. He is very much on the front foot. And KSV, it's a new patch. We said it didn't necessarily suit them. This early game has not suited them at all.
I just haven't seen a Void Spike do that much damage. That was real silly. And Crown now no summoner spells and a death to his name as well. This is going to mean that Tempt has a great time in this lane. Couple of assists, gone back, got a blasting wand for excessive amounts of wave clear, and happily teleports into this lane.
And you want to talk about happy. Trick has the Mobies and the Warriors. Usually by 10 minutes you have one or the other. He is insanely strong. He's also able to have near permanent uptime on invisibility if he uses his ultimate for particularly long journeys. He is going to be obnoxious to deal with. We can talk about Crown, who is going to be working towards the Ludens. No surprise there for the Poke. There was an argument for the Archangels, but no early tier. Let us know that wasn't going to happen. I think the second item is going to be the Rylai's, by the way, because of the recent buffs and the fact that the Liandry's second isn't really going to be as strong. I guess a Morellonomicon is possible, but there's not that much healing on the side of bbq, so it doesn't need to be rushed.
And also feels good as an item that you're going to pick up before that of a Luden's Echo, just because having magic penetration is something that you want to have as quickly into the game as possible. Merc Treads are now there for Tempt, so he's not too worried. But he is now, as a Disintegration Ray is going to come in. Justice Punch blocked by Ambition, but they still need the follow-up damage. Hero's entrance on top of Trick, and they'll even be able to secure the Rift Herald, because no worries. Crazy also has lane advantage, and Tempt is going to be able to wander away scot-free.
Man, that was a dirty escape. He even allowed the damn Rift Herald to die faster, getting the damage onto it from the hero's exit in that particular one. That's a tilter. For the mid lane, it was set up because Vel'Koz is one of the champions uniquely qualified to puncture through a Galio with the amount of true damage if his ultimate is hitting. Wasn't able to adjust the direction fast enough when it comes to the ultimate. It's not something that you can do. QV just about keeping his turret up, but in a massive CS discrepancy.
Look at this, like, Kha'Zix's boost through the jungle as well. Now he's going to tear past. Ambition's going to see him. More invisibility. And Ambition now not going to be able to back. They know exactly where he is. The rest of the lane's having a great time. Close to a 2,000 gold lead, but first turret looking like it should go down on the top side, and all of that jungle control that has been so pivotal for so many teams on this patch is going over to bbq.
And games like this remind me that when we were talking about evaluations of what the jungle meta would look like, when we were looking forward and wondering, one thing I said was, maybe the value of battle warding goes up because you don't have vision. We're seeing Trick, someone who has been on the passive farming side, the Ambition style, jump onto Kha'Zix and look at home on utter aggression. I think the defensive way to play for your lanes is for your jungler to be as controlled, aggressive as possible. And I think games like this will remind us that counter-picking jungle, taking a skirmishing jungler against a tank jungler, is very powerful on patch 8.4 because all of his lanes are having the time of their life as Ambition is nowhere to be found.
Yeah, QV's getting zoned by an Ornn. He will lose this turret. Bunch of CS there as well. You saw very close to being outside of experience range, and it's all snowballing out of control. I feel like if you're an EU LCS fan and you've only just started watching bbq, you're thinking, you know, we're a bit crazy talking about Trick like he's just a passive jungler. Of course, there were times over there, but I remember when Graves was huge and Trick was just destroying people.
2016 was a long time ago, and I was there at 2017 MSI, where his Nunu was, let's say, a bit all over the place. So he's definitely been on the more passive side recently. This is a welcome return to form, and again, suits the patch. KSV, look for the delay. Rift Herald, not going to find anything.
Yep, needed to pull Core JJ into the mid lane defensively, as well as Trick has taken up residence in the top side jungle of KSV. Visible for a long time. They'll find QV again. Hookshot used. Thankfully, not window shopping just yet.
That was a big burst for 13 minutes into the game. Trick continues on his merry ways. They control the top side jungle. Ornn continues to push. And you get that Unbreakable down, and the Wombo engage bot side is coming.
Well, Trick is doing his best mid lane Kha'Zix impression. His Crown has to run the hell away. Thankfully got the tectonic disruption down in time.
And there's less vision to make what was already a very hard jungler to track for laners even harder. You're not going to see him entering brush as reliably as before, and Trick is hugely ahead in terms of pressure. He is behind about 5 camps, but that's because Ambition was counter-jungling when Trick was turret diving in the top side.
Yep. Crazy. Having the best time as a top laner as you can possibly can. Actually bored of the top lane. Just going to be hanging out in the mid lane, trying to get things pushed out. He has a gigantic CS lead of 40 creeps.
And this is a big thing to talk about. We don't normally really harp on this, but they controlled top side. They owned all of top side to the side of bbq taking the turret. Now you see them enter bot side, clear out 2 control wards, and try to transfer their power where the next objective they want is, which is the Mountain Drake. This is the sort of part where an aggressive jungler can be caught because they have naturally had a vision disadvantage on the bottom side. They don't want to give up a free Drake. They are trying to win every part of the map, the top side and the bot side. And because Trick is so powerful, KSV have to show a lot of respect.
Well, they're looking to try and get themselves into this jungle. I just want to shout out to Ghost, who picked up the Hurricane first item, which was a rush, instead of the Blade of the Ruin King that you see most of the time, and I actually love it. Against Ruler, who will have a lot of pushing power, with all of the control they have over the rest of the map, they just want to be shoving as hard as possible, and you grab that item, you feel good, and then Ignar on the Predator Leona can go around and smack people.
We didn't even mention Predator Leona, but
okay.
That does sound like Ignar. Boots of mobility and Predator, for he will always be everywhere on the Rift. Look how fast he is.
He's so fast. He actually popped the Predator to get around the map quicker.
And more Sick Burst also, the Ignar special.
Oh, yeah. That's so Ignar. It's the most Ignar thing to do. I love it. Absolutely love it. This QA at least has the Tiamat, so he can clear out minion waves faster. But that probably means that he gets further up the lane quicker, which he doesn't want.
And let's be fair, we do all know that Ignar, just like the top laners, is waiting for that fighter keystone mastery. He's not able to go for his old build. Wants to find some damage, and Predator, not quite the same as his old favorite, but still. He's always been creative on the lane, the Fervor, sadly, I think, in the past.
Yeah. Well, Crazy gonna continue pressuring QV, who feels like he wants to be split pushing, but when's that gonna happen, Papa Smithy? If we make it to 45 minutes, potentially, his Crown, he's in a bit of trouble with the hero's entrance comes down. Trick actually is going to use the flash, but the Crown still goes down. Good solar flare from Ignar as he turns up into the fight, and that's a couple of kills. Ghost gets going, 6-0. Over 4,000 gold is now the lead at 17 minutes in. At any other time, this would mean Baron, but bbq may settle for an outer turret of the mid lane.
It's another game where KSV feels like their call time is 11 a.m. when work starts at 9 a.m. The early game for them is such a struggle. They're so sluggish to start things off, and nothing changes. They will be surprised by how much aggression bbq showed in the early game, because that hasn't been a reliable thing. That wasn't the scouting report, but everything else has just been like clockwork for bbq, as finally KSV is finding something on the bot side.
Yep, we're all going to take a few turret shots, though, as at least there's a Vampiric Scepter for Ghost to keep him alive.
Gonna watch the replay. Trick closes the distance. Crown finally is able to use his ultimate. Trick won't go down. The damage reduction helped at the start, and then you bulldoze. The problem with Vel'Koz and the other champion we mentioned, which was the Casio, is that they want to have a bit of space, a bit of time to breathe. In the late game, when the threat goes down from the Kazakhs, maybe that means something. Right now it doesn't. Is first objective, the denial of the perfect game, is the Mountain Drake for KSV.
Yeah, they will be able to pick that one up. It is such a worry, though, because picking Vel'Koz does mean that you're looking to try and fight front to back. You mentioned the fact that, yes, the 1-4 composition from KSV, if we do make it to a late game stage, feels great if we're talking in the context of 8.3. But when are we going to have a front-to-back team fight when it's all skirmishes, it's all Trick being invisible the majority of the game and coming behind you and killing you? Like right now, Ambition unable to get the Winter's Wrath down because Trick's so damn fast. It's just a bit of a disaster, and Crown relegated to being underneath his inner turret.
Fighting pressure against a Galio comp requires a robust early game. If you can just hold down the Kazakhs who's 0-0-0 and Galio's first two ults don't work, maybe you get that. Maybe you can 4-1 and poke with the Q on the Vel'Koz and take turrets with the Tristana, but again, you need to show up for work at 9 AM then. You need to be there in the early game and actually be able to defend, and KSV don't have Tracker's Knife Ambition anymore. They have Ambition as a farming jungler in a low vision game. He's moved over to the Sweeper, and that means they have even less vision on the Rift. So, unfortunately for them, this is the reason why people said that 8.4 represented a nerf for a team that had gone 1-5 after a 5-1 start. This is a game that can stabilize. The gold lead is 5,000. The early game comp has gotten going. The game is certainly not over. But the good news stories for KSV are still theoretical. They still require mistakes, and so far bbq have been very clinical.
Yeah. Things are only going to get harder as well, given the darkness that is on Summoner's Rift. We've now got Trick, who's got the Duskblade of Drakthar, and can just clear out these wards very, very quickly. He's going to spot that one, but decides not to go back and get it. He's just patrolling.
Remember, he's a conduit for the hero's entrance if he needs to be.
Yeah, well, Tempt is here. We won't even need to use that one, but they're not trying to do too much. Notice that the bottom lane was rotating over, and Crown walking over vision as well. The Trick just understanding where the vision is. Bottom lane seems to be the focus for KSV, meaning that Crazy unnoticed as he wanders through, but they're just going to check it with some plasma vision and things like that.
So for the first time in a while, we have... first time on 8.4, it feels like we have interesting items to talk about in the mid lane. We'll hold the point now as bbq trying to zone bot lane off to try to get some turret damage in, but Kallista's sieging got even worse with the removal of 25 range, so turret not the easiest to pick up without pressure in multiple lanes.
Yeah. I feel like having Siege isn't something that you need as much in this meta, I guess, with the Banner of Command, the Baron being where you want to be, and as soon as you grab a couple of those and potentially an Elder Drake, you're going to feel really good about it, but Trick going to evolve the W second. Void Spikes just so that he knows where everyone is.
They needed 5 members to do this, and sadly Camille's not strong enough for KSV to actually push topside while this happens, so she's just picking up minion waves. Try to get items rather than causing a punishment on the Rift. Cube has teleport up on the Camille with Trinity Force, but feels that his time is best served pushing out other lanes and being there potentially before the teleport even stops, because Crown is epically squishy. Remember that one of the flow-on effects of patch 8.4 coming live, as we see a 1,500 gold lead for Trick in the jungle, is that mid laners have much less access to incidental health. You're not expecting Leandri's second from most mid laners. We're seeing it this game from Tempt, but probably not going to be as early from Crown. Is that outside chance? It's gone the Oblivion Orbs. It's going to be the Morellonomicon.
Yeah.
The 2-item builds have no health, and these mid laners are very, very squishy. It's why I think we'll eventually get more Archangels, just so you have a shield for temporary health, because otherwise, mid laners do a crap load of damage, but also die instantly, and they're against a Wombo engage comp, and feels like he'll just die during the duration of a hero's entrance.
Well, Crazy going to go ahead and miss absolutely everything there, and I think you're right. Of course, doesn't apply to Tempt, so he can go for the all the health all the time build, but you're right. Yes, there's access to a lot more cooldown reduction very early if you're going to go this high damage build from Crown, and he can clear minion waves very effectively with Luden's Echo. But yeah, if he gets touched by anyone, as we've seen at least a couple of times already this game, he's just dead.
That's kind of fun, is that poke champions poke better, but they also die more. You know what I mean?
They die better and poke better.
They die harder, I guess you would say. And that's probably good. That's probably good for the game, that there is a true identity to them. It was a weird game where everyone had Leandri's 300 health and everyone was relatively able to battle. So I do appreciate that things have changed, but it does mean that Vel'Koz needs to be super on point with positioning. They need to be able to disengage a wombo engage, and then on the backside, Tristana and Vel'Koz are doing their thing. But if they're playing 5 lanes, that sort of thing can't happen.
Trick looking for Ruler. Will actually get the first Q down. Has to jump away though. Actually jumps in. I'm sorry, as the blaster shot comes down, and Ruler is actually going to find it. The Ornn comes in, gets the blazing charge, and at least manages to make it a 1-for-1. But now Ambition a little bit too far forward. It was beautiful from Ruler to make it a 1-for-1 at least, but still bbq with control of the map.
Not able to get the kill cleanly. The heal was the big winner there for Ruler. Allowed the extra auto attacks to turn it around. So the Fed Kha'Zix goes down, a bit of a spree. They're starting Baron anyway because they do have the ability to peel off and they have the Ren to secure it. QV will need to teleport if KSV can't pull them off post-whiff.
Well, they're doing not very much damage to this Baron, only now going down to half health. Trick is alive once again, but teleport from QV does come down. 4v4 here at this stage as Core JJ blocking so much damage. Disintegration Ray, just free damage into the backline, and Ghost is going to evaporate. Ignar flashing away to relative safety. Winds of War aren't going to do nearly enough damage, and that's going to be another one for KSV. Just greed from bbq. They did not need to go for that Baron.
They knew they were ahead, but the way they played it out was not fantastic at all, Atlas. Trick is going to probably poke here. He knows there could be people on the brush. There was.
Yeah, had to use the flash to get himself out of there. Ignar goes back to see what he can do. But I don't think the Kha'Zix can go 1v3. He's pretty fed, but not that fed.
Well, it wasn't quite the throw, but it certainly was the beginning of potentially a turnaround for the side of KSV. They finally get the sort of fight they want where there's safety on Crown, because that's just the sort of fight that happens when you stay on Baron for a long time, people getting chunked out, and you don't even have your jungler there to threaten a true secure. So it was so half-hearted when it came to threat, and it may have got a teleport. They're going to take kills on the back end as Temp's just going to get obliterated.
Yep, Ruler just feeling it with this 2-item power spike that he's picked up for himself. Almost his second Zeal, which he should definitely be able to afford now. QV, he's got his damage items to keep this split push rolling. KSV giving us the feeling like they may have gotten themselves towards a mid-game that they actually feel okay with, because it's only a 3,000 gold lead. Looking to pick up another Mountain Drake as well. And you're right, this is the team that has a late call time, but once they get the call time, they feel like they have gotten their act into gear. That's why they haven't been fired just yet.
Definitely was true for them in the first weeks, but even that, even things like what Ambition brings to the team and all the intangibles that I was talking about at Worlds haven't counted for much in the past few weeks. They'll be hoping this is the fresh start. They are in a position to make it to playoffs, and bbq is obliging with some pushing up as, well, Crown's dead.
Yeah, that's the bounce castle. Ghost is going to be able to pick up that kill very easily. He's got that 2-item spike that we talk about all the time with the Callista. No more Vel'Koz to get that life form disintegration ray across the team. It's the last time I'm going to call it life form disintegration ray, by the way, Papa. It's the only time I'm going to give it the justice of its full name, as the Baron is started off once again. Trick in there, actually looking for Ruler in the backline. It's exactly what he wants to do, but Hero's entrance, a little bit unnecessary. Now going to jump in on top of QV, but he's got some items now, and Trick has to be a little bit careful. Jungler going down really low means that bbq have to move themselves away from the Baron pit, but QV, he's behind enemy lines, a bit Owen Wilson at this stage, as Ghost will get in there. Does have the Rend, but I don't know whether he... Oh, actually, he'd already used it. Fate's Call comes in. That's the Ignite for the secure. Ignar's going to lock down the kill.
In the mid lane, they bought enough time for Ruler turn to mid, and consider that they did stop Baron with that play. That's why they dived in to try to halt the Baron from being complete. Baron has respawned, and they've been able to contest. So delaying Baron is the big story here from KSV. Delay is pretty much a secondary name behind KSV, both in this comp and in identity. Baron has started again in Vision.
Yep, there's a control ward in the back of the pit, as you can see.
Ignar was on a huge roaming mission, but will have to back away.
Yep, doesn't have Predator available for himself at this stage either. So bbq once again, going to try and clear out some waves. Want some more items by the looks of things as well. This is going to be the full AP Tempt. Not with any proto belts or anything like that. Feels like a couple of health items is going to be enough for him.
Not clear what his next item is. I guess it could be Banshee Veil to try to guarantee his positioning. When you see Blasting Wand and Fiendish Codex, that's usually the way.
Interesting that he hasn't gone for any sort of magic resist in the meantime, but has himself some Merc Treads to feel okay about that.
I mean, the only magic damage is Crown, and theoretically he's dying in the first Wombo if the fight is going the way bbq wanted to.
That's true.
Does a lot of true damage as well, so health is maybe enough, and then situational tankiness from his W. Next hero's entrance could be the pivotal one, Atlas, the one where they're actually able to make or break the game. This game is open to be won, and 2 people go down from bbq. And KSV can delete the Baron with the Tristana at 3 items and double Mountain Drake to guarantee that their pace of Drake is going to be very on point as well. So a couple of mistakes from bbq after an immaculate early game. Suddenly a 3,700 gold lead and the game in the balance.
Yeah, and the solo queue beast himself, Ruler, is feeling pretty comfortable this particular moment. You can see he's gone aggressive so many times, picked up half the kills so far as Ambition. Just going to take a bit of a love tap from Trick.
Trick actually did not want to aggro Ambition, but the W just incidentally hit him while he was in stealth.
Yeah.
Once again, trying to find a way to answer Cuve's split push by forcing, but Cuve's teleport about to come up, and Crazy has held teleport for this entire time.
He's going to be able to clear out the minion wave just fine on the bottom side of the map. And yeah, I feel like if bbq don't kill Ruler instantly in one of these fights, the game could certainly swing in favor of KSV, despite the fact that there is a slight lead, about 300 gold, in favor of bbq at the moment. The Tristana, seen her do pretty ridiculous stuff already today in the hands of Teddy. Now once again, Ruler having a pretty good game, ahead by so much farm.
And we get another chance to define terms that we use. We defined Battle Ward in our first series. Front to back is a term you've used, and like you say, KSV have a front to back comp. What does that mean? Front to back means that it's all about killing the front line of bbq and then getting to the back line. It's a more standard safe play style where Caitlyn or the AD carry in any game is hitting the tanks first and not trying to push damage onto the back line. Whereas bbq, they don't have front to back. They're diving the back line with their lineup. They're not going to be looking to kill the front line. They have Galio, Kha'Zix, the Orin ultimate coming in. They're all about backline threat. And so, a standard team fight in the open, you think KSV wins that more often than not, now that the gold lead is not there. If Kha'Zix gets the assassination, though...
Oh my god, so much damage onto Crown. He'll die with another auto attack. Hero's entrance to try and save Trick. He does fall down in the end, but big knockups come in for bbq. Ultimate's going to miss from Ambition as Temp Justice punches his way out, and bbq, they managed to get the assassination on Crown. But can they actually get anything more off this? It's still a 4v4, and they have Ruler.
This threat also on Cuve's gone full damage on this Camille, so they have to be careful, even though they feel like they're in a position of power. This is Searing Charge.
Yeah, big double knock up there coming out from Crazy.
But Tristana's free hitting.
Yeah, does want to avoid the Winds of War. Tempt actually doing decent damage here as Ambition takes a different exit from the rest of his team and almost gets collapsed on, but bbq unable to find any engagement that they can win, still milling about this Baron.
And they want to force a teleport again, so we return to the game state 4 to 5 minutes later. See how early Cuve is forced to come in. KSV know that bbq want to peel, and that's why this particular charade around the Baron isn't going to find a Cuve teleport.
Yeah. Cuve now able to shove this wave all the way up to the inner turret. And let's have a look at this assassination once again. A lot of summoner spells are expelled, but Trick showing what happens when you feed the jungle.
Feel pretty good about trading flashes as well, as now Crown will be pretty hapless in a repeat gank. Didn't use his cleanse, so thankfully didn't press both buttons, but...
Oh, it's actually going to be a Zhonya's as third item here for Tempt. The other option that you can go for. Fiendish Codex.
Building a bit of everything, it seems.
Yeah.
A lot of power. Again, the game's still in the balance. Nothing has changed about the game state in the past 10 minutes, which for team comp and a team like KSV makes a lot of sense. Another hero's entrance.
Yeah, onto Trick. The Ram does come in. Crown just dies to incidental damage into the backline. Fate's Call comes down. That means the Glacial Fissure did practically nothing. And Ignar gets himself out of the fight. Still, Solar Flare on cooldown. Hero's Entrance on cooldown. A lot of big buttons now unavailable for bbq.
bbq keep playing only one lane, Atlas, as QV has been down bot lane and made sure the minion waves aren't doing anything for them. That's the sort of comp they have, a pile-on comp. But because they haven't been piling on and getting 2 kills, Crown can be in the gray screen half the game, and they're not getting anything out of it. They're not cracking a turret, they're not taking the Baron, they're not really even getting exclusive vision deep on the side of KSV. That means that bbq need to find more. They need to engineer success. Baron has been their place of frustration before. Will it be again?
Well, Trick knows that he hasn't been seen, but he's at half health. Crown still second to go, and there's no teleport, no spellbook or anything like that. Trick gets a slow into Ambition, but he's playing frontline very, very well. Tempt moving in, wants to find the taunt, no flash available, so couldn't get it on multiple members. There's the Zhonya's that he was looking for. One knock-up comes in, Solar Flare. They're just going to grab Ambition, take him down. QV unable to get himself out, but Ruler wants to find the fight. Core JJ, good frontline is now Crown, moving himself in. These tight corridors, great for the Vel'Koz. And KSV successfully pressure bbq out, but they lose Ambition, which could be a big problem moving through the next 30 seconds into the game.
KSV look like they're closer to the next objective of the game than bbq does. And again, we keep talking about the same point because nothing changes with all of these picks except both teams largely grow in gold. 40,000 gold became 54 for KSV while the gold lead stayed the same. The item's starting to be there, and they need to find a way to break open the game. This might be the moment.
Yep, Ruler has to be wary as Trick. That's a really early heroic entrance, but he just gets booped back. And Core JJ is going to be the one to suffer the consequences. They keep Ruler alive, but he's only on 150 health, and now back to the Baron. Go bbq.
Rinse and repeat again and again. It's not an Ivern from bbq, but it feels like an Ivern comp when it comes to trying the Baron.
Trick's got another run-up now towards the Baron pit. Pulled himself really far back. He's a fast bowler, this guy.
He doesn't need to be there for the secure. That's why he keeps making this play, but it's pretty telegraphed for the side of KSV. Can they stop Ghost from going for the secure? We're waiting, we're waiting.
Well, Ambition wants to find it, but the Rend is there. Solar Flare on top of Crown as well. As the Ornn throws in the Ram. Crazy finds another knock-up. It's a kill over as Ignar gets over the wall, but Fate's Call's there to keep him alive. Really nice Baron play from bbq. And good smite with the Rend from Ghost.
12 minutes of gameplay finally pays off. They pick up the Baron. Remember that Ghost has QSS, so being stunned won't stop him from pressing Rend. Presses the button, uses it about 1200 health, I believe. Crown interrupted. Baron secured. Good play overall from bbq, but it shows you that these early game comps that do some things very well can't always press the final distance very easily. They killed Crown 3 times and found no movement. Getting the Sejuani was the big difference.
Yeah, I also feel like the follow-up kill onto Core JJ was a big deal at the same time. We saw he was playing frontline for Ruler really nicely, meant that Ruler easily collapsed on if anything went wrong.
And there's Bessie, the cannon minion. They can only have one. There is only one bannered up Baron buff Siege minion here. It's going to push in. Let's see if there can be any threat put on by KSV.
Well, so far, Bessie's doing a whole bunch of work. I like how you use Bessie, named for a really big cow in a lot of ways, and this time certainly working.
Oh, it got distracted.
Yeah, nicely done. Bessie, she's a fickle thing.
Yeah. Poor Bessie.
Rip. We may never see her again. Who knows?
She was an early game banner buff cannon minion.
Bessie, the banner buff cannon minion.
The Bannon, if you will.
Yep.
Well, just a natural empowered Siege minion does take down this mid lane inner turret. With only one banner of command, we expect them to play one lane. It's also how the comp goes. But finding a way to actually use a Galio ultimate when you're trying to siege an inhibitor turret is almost impossible.
Yeah. Well, Trick, he's the one split pushing against QV here. Guardian Angel complete. Tempt is going to make his way up, and now they're going to set themselves in here. Hextech Ultimatum comes down from KSV as the ultimate is Zhonya's out of the way from. Nice Unbreakable, making sure that the Call of the Forge God not going to get any rams across. A lot of buttons being pressed, but nothing to gain from it just yet.
Back away, trying to create some disarray on the map, but the inner turret will be obviously a lot more trivial for bbq to pick up with this Baron. First Baron in the game. It's going to time out soon as here is that second Bannon minion.
Yep. Off cooldown.
Interrupting it, even aggroing it is so important the side of KSV.
Yeah, Claudia just going to get smashed down. Ruler easily going to make short work of that.
I wonder how many people in our chat have heard of Claudia Schiffer. That's the first Claudia that came to my mind.
Everyone's seen, what is it? Love Actually. Where Claudia Schiffer's with Liam Neeson. Adorably. Sorry about the spoiler, but you guys have got to watch that film. My dad's personal favorite movie. One of 4.
I believe that may be the first ever rom-com recommendation we've had on the LCK broadcast. Sci-fi
Really?
shows, that's where usually the recommendations come. You're showing your sensitive side here, Atlas.
Oh, it's mostly my father's sensitive side. It's actually hilarious. The man is really, really bad at watching any film ever. He's never read a novel, just reads instruction books, and then watches rom-coms.
He sounds like a top bloke.
His name's Randall. I say that because Randall's such a good name, so he has to be a good dude. Anyway, that's enough talk about my dad. Let's talk about the video game.
Okay.
Call the Forge God does come in. Trick right into the
gonna be
back line.
big.
Yeah. Hero's entrance gets him exactly where he needs to go. Ambition whiffs the ult. And Ruler, he's at least still alive, but Rocket Jump has to be used so defensively. QV hook shots himself over, but Trick makes his way in, and after the Guardian Angel was taken down, almost dies, but they keep everyone alive. Trick's even able to survive to take a wolf camp.
Man, the construction of that was fantastic from bbq. They have win more items to try to push the most right now. With double Guardian Angel complete, Trick had his to guarantee the positioning. The Flash wasn't going to escape anyone from that. Tristana may be alive, but the base will be broken on this push.
Yep, and it's looking like 1-4 for Vel'Koz in the LCK. As Crown 1-6. Just not a great performance. Base is broken. And inner turret now going to get worked on the bottom side of the map as Trick, the split pushing Kha'Zix, getting the work done. Still got an item slot at the same time. Now going to go back. I feel like more of Malmortius could be a good idea, something like that. He's probably got about 1 billion gold.
Trick has been unbelievable in this game. Has basically won the entire game himself with camping topside and also being able to account for Crown in every fight. They peel off Elder. They do still have, of course, the Ren secure.
Yeah, and I love this, being able to use Trick outside of the pit and still having the secure advantage, as it is going to reset. So
Ren
bbq
drops
now
as
battle
well.
lines. Remember what we were talking about, front-to-back comps. This is about as front-to-back as you can possibly be for KSV. Trick gets himself over, but they do manage to secure the Elder Dragon. Solar Flare comes in, but it's only Core JJ locked up, and now bbq have to disengage. They're the ones that decided to go for that. Didn't get any of the secure.
And they weren't able to actually position because of that advantage you mentioned, Atlas. They had to let the Ren stats drop off the Elder because Tristana and the Braum were on the left side of the pit and everyone else had exited down from the side of bbq. We get the buffs here. The first buff, unchanged. The second buff, immensely strong. The respawn time is shorter, around 48 minutes. The second Baron will spawn. The game going 48 minutes is a win in and of itself for KSV with how the early game went, as we're going for another hero's entrance from Trick.
Well, Trick's going to set it up right on top of Crown, but he does get knocked up. Call the Forge God comes in. They lose the Kha'Zix, but it's in trade for the Vel'Koz. Ultimate flies forward. His tempt is going to be the focus here. Good triple knock-up. And there's a Solar Flare on so many members. Ghost right in amongst this fight, but he gets obliterated.
KSV going to win this fight.
Yeah, that damage was insane, as it is going to be at least the Camille going down. Core JJ takes a bit of damage, but Ruler is so incredibly strong. It's a double kill as Core JJ sacrifices himself, but Ruler, we said he's a ticking time bomb. Gets so many kills in that fight, and they are going to be able to grab whatever they want now as they move up the mid lane.
That time is along, so they're going to try and get an inhibitor and fall back to Baron, which spawns at the same time as the majority of bbq's members. That's what KSV want here. They want both objectives. Ghost is dead for another 30 seconds. Here will be the inhibitor, and KSV think a Baron might just end the game.
Yep, and now what are they going to do against Ruler? Because after this, he's 7-1-0 after that fight. That's Mercurial Scimitar. Done. He's got so many options. And this looked like the dream.
It did, but the time it comes is so relevant. This is at 40 minutes into the game when Ruler already has all of his items. They weren't able to push forward for a good 12 minutes of delay. The old KSV playbook working for them. And then even with Wombo engage, the engage is not followed with damage. The first time that Glista actually walks up to try to actually profit off what was Solar Flare into knock up from the ultimate with the Fate's Call, he dies. And that means that KSV pick him up. They aren't able to start the Baron, so there will be a 50-50 Baron fight here. But it feels like KSV might have accepted one lifeline enough to actually win the game.
Yep, feels like KSV have managed to weather the storm. We have always called them a team that is capable of that and often build towards that sort of option. As Ruler, he could be in trouble here as entrance comes in as Trick gets himself out of the way. If Ruler's out of this fight, that could be a great thing for bbq as Ghost. He's free hitting. Crown once again going to die. Could double knock up, but as you can see, Ruler, no auto attacks in this fight. Core JJ is going to go down. We've got a Guardian Angel
not over
on
yet.
Cube as Ruler. Can he actually get the work done in here as Trick gets himself out of the way? Ambition, the only frontline remaining for Ruler to try and get work done, and he's just not enough. As bbq, they lose 1 in trade for 2. Make it 3.
Ruler is so desperately wanting there to be a fight where Crown isn't instant deleted, but someone has to be with a comp like bbq have, barring a huge misfire. Trick's whole job is to be a conduit for the hero's entrance. It's never going to hit Ruler because he can get out, but maybe Trick can hit 6 damage items himself and kill Ruler when he's isolated. Crown dies predictably after the Zonias. The fight goes on, but Cube is able to answer when it comes to threats. So while it is advantage bbq, they keep inching forward because there isn't a plan to actually kill Ruler.
Yeah, Trick gets himself out at the end of that one. That could have been an opportunity for KSV to move on forward. But Zonya's now on cooldown for the next few seconds. Maybe bbq can start a fight before then, but that is a Death Cap and a Void Staff. Death Cap now much better on this patch. Leandri's Torment changed a little bit as well.
It was an early Leandri's and all about the, I would say mostly about the max health damage on poking with the Q.
Yeah.
Because you do get 1% max health, but with the Winds of War being a slow, you get 2% max health.
And also, with the fact that Winds of War hits a few extra times, you get to stack up that damage bonus. So that potential 10%, certainly good.
Again and again, we have seen the same thing, and with the lack of vision, we're going to see it another time.
Well, Trick looking to give Crown his 9th death, and he is going to be able to do so. Ruler in a bit of trouble, as there's the Solar Flare right on top. QSS already down. The Ghost is able to grab that kill. Trick still alive. Cube looking to try and grab the pick, and Ghost once again going to fall down. And now, are we going to have the Ruler show? Tempt taking so much damage. He's just going to go in, and Zonya's wanted to get on top of Ruler, but he's at full health. Just wanders through, now happy to use the rocket jump to get the work done. Searing charge, but the Goomba is stomped down on. Triple kill for the Tristana. Trick trying to take care of the minion wave, but they're super creeps, and he's way too low. And there's only 2 members of bbq remaining. I think that KSV have gotten past their time of being behind, and now KSV just going to do it.
That was a straight up 3v5 coming through from KSV because Ruler cannot be accounted for. Everything used to kill Crown. They may still win this game as Trick is going to die almost instantly.
Yeah, he's able to leap his way up, but Ignite just whiffs the Solar Flare. He's underneath Nexus turrets. Ruler's not even trying to take him down. Eclipse is going to proc, making him a little bit squishier. But look at this. Nexus turret's dead, and KSV, against all odds, at 45 minutes, are going to win game 1.
Ruler in his Challenger promos, doesn't matter if his mid laner is feeding, he's still going to win the damn game. This was rolling back Ruler's solo queue games where we saw he was dominating left, right, and center in the preseason. So big for them to take down bbq after they had no impact from the mid lane. If you think about it, Crown's job this game was to be a distraction until eventually Ruler came online. Come online, did he? And bbq will wonder how they couldn't win the game.
Yeah, the game just snatched away from them. Feels like game 2 last time these two teams faced. But that was game 2. What's going to happen now when bbq are going to be feeling like it should be 1-0 the other direction and having to pick themselves up and head into a game 2?
This happened so many times. Which of the times was as we need the timer on just to know. But this was the true 3v5. There's no other way to put it. It's legit 3v5. Just the Camille to control space, Braum to fight in front of Ruler, and then Ruler was the ultimate banner of command, Baroned up minion. He decided the game on his own because bbq had a comp that couldn't fight front to back. You think front to back means 5v5. This was 3v5. This was dirty.
This was filthy, is what it was. Ghost not really in the greatest of positions, and Ignar throwing himself so far away from his AD carry was also a bit of a problem in that last fight. The stars aligning a little bit for KSV as far as mistakes from bbq, and they'll have to VOD review that one and understand exactly what went wrong because they had all of the keys. Just couldn't find the keyhole the end of that game, and they tried so many times.
First Baron took too long, Atlas. That was the big problem there, was they gave 10 minutes a Zeal item extra to the Tristana. Earlier in the game, those engages probably end it. Unfortunately, when they found them, they just couldn't close it.
Yeah, it's rough. KSV now, I'm hoping that they can show us a little bit more in the early game. You mentioned showing up for work a little bit late. Well, they're here at work already, Papa. And potentially, we are going to have them bring us something in the early game to show us that the world champions are not a thing of the past.
Well, that performance beat bbq. It will not beat the teams they're looking to compete against at the top. So you're right, we're still looking to game 2. For the true improvement, they need to show up in the early game.
Yep. And after this, they have saved themselves. They're not going to be falling behind SKT, even if it's going to be bbq picking up the next 2 games and taking the series. It took a 0-2 for them to go down to a position underneath SKT. So good news, potentially for KSV, but we are going to go to a short break. We'll see you straight after.